Welcome to the Conscious Living Podcast, conversations to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. An uplifting and inspiring series of conversations and talks with your host, Jackie Woodside. We are educating minds, empowering lives, and enlightening souls to create a world where love prevails. In this engaging podcast, we deliver exciting, positive, transformative talks and teachings designed to elevate your life. Now, let's join our host, Jackie Woodside, for this week's session.
Hi there, Jackie Woodside here with another episode of the Conscious Living Podcast, where we are here to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. I just love this whole topic of conscious living, and the inquiry here week after week is, what does it mean to live life more consciously? So I want to invite that inquiry to you today, our listeners. Are you being conscious today? Where have you gone unconscious with your career or your finances, your health or your relationships? Because it really does take something to live a conscious life. There's so many distractions and our pace of life is so fast. So I love bringing to the stage, experts and teachers and speakers and coaches and authors who think deeply and whose work is really centered around helping people like you and I wake up and live life more consciously. So this week, I'm really pleased to bring to the Conscious Living Podcast, Junie Swadron. Junie is an extraordinarily talented and gifted psychotherapist. She's a best-selling author, playwright, speaker, workshop facilitator, and professional writing coach. I don't know how she has fit all of that into one lifetime, but she spent 30 years guiding thousands of students in writing and sharing their life stories through a deep and powerful process that completely transformed how they experience their life journey. She's a healer who, she says, knows both sides of the couch, having been diagnosed with manic depressive disorder at the early age of 19 and dealt with those challenges throughout the years. Her personal experiences have helped her to develop coping skills and wellness time and time again. So her illness has kept her humble, but also has made her wise. So Junie, there's so many things that you've done. I just want to welcome you today, and feel free to say a few more things about yourself so that our listeners can get to know you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's just such a joy and a privilege to be here with you today. What else can I add to that? It's just too much to just say that life is precious. And whatever our gifts are, whatever we're motivated in our hearts and souls to do, don't wait.
Yeah.
Just tap into that place inside of you and be brave enough to crack open that scared place.
Yeah.
Because we're all scared. And that there's a real risk to not there's a wonderful quote about, I think it was Anais Nin, that says, and the day came when the risk to remain tighten of bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And I love that quote because it is risky to blossom, but it's a lot worse to know that we've got something and we just can't get our voice and get ourselves out there.
Absolutely. Junie, I love that. I was very much in that place when I knew I wanted to be a full-time speaker and coach and leading empowerment workshops, but I was a therapist similar to you, which was a wonderful career. And I really loved my clients, loved doing psychotherapy, but just felt that calling to have a bigger platform and wanting to work with more people. And I remember that feeling of just like dying inside, and needing to that voice needed to be expressed. So I know exactly what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of your work now as a writing coach is to help people craft their narrative, to find their voice. So tell me how you got started in doing that kind of work, and particularly with your background in battling or dealing with a long-term chronic mental illness. So how did your own personal background feed into this? And tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. I wouldn't have just said sure 20 years ago.
Right.
It took me a lot of years before I kind of came out of the closet of shame around the mental illness, because I was already working as a therapist. And one day it was just, no, no, you can't hide this anymore. You can't pretend that people are coming to you and getting great results, but pretending. I mean, that all has always been well with you. And not that I was that kind of person anyway. I didn't have this pedestal somewhere. But at the same time, I knew that it wasn't being authentic. So I wrote a play to dispel mysticism. Yeah. And it was terrifying. I thought, there goes my career as a therapist and as a mental health worker, and all of that. And what it did was just open up a whole new life for me of liberation, because I was able to tell the truth, and it allowed other people to come forward and tell their truth, and that we didn't do anything wrong. And nobody asks for this sort of thing. Right. But it started, you asked me, how did the writing start and how did it all flow together? As a child, I was given a diary way back then, a little 5-year diary with a little lock and key. And who knew? It wasn't just a toy and something frivolous to write a few things and throw away. It became my safe place. It was the only place that I could really feel free to write my thoughts, my feelings. And I cherished it. Over time, it became my best friend. And I learned, I wouldn't have been able to express this back then, but it felt like there was a benevolent force with me when I wrote. I didn't feel alone. It felt that when I was writing and I was just so in the moment that, I don't know, there was a safety there, and there was kind of peace in it. Even if I was writing something that was not pleasant or pretty or terrifying, in fact, the writing itself gave me solace. It gave me wisdom. I could write, because and to this day, I don't know what I'm thinking till I've written it down. Oh, is that how I feel about that? And so years later, when I became a therapist, it was like the same year I took, put out that shingle, I started writing groups. I started just, using the writing as a therapeutic tool with my clients, because I knew how brilliant it is, as well as creative. I mean, some of the most painful entries can become poetry, plays, whatever, song lyrics, doesn't matter. Or nothing, scribble, but it gets it out of your body.
Yeah. Nice. Beautiful. There's so many people, I'm an author, as you know, and so many people come to me like, oh, Jackie, I want to write a book. And how did you do this? So I know so many people listening now, or, maybe they feel that way, like they have a book inside of them. What's your message to people about that urge of wanting to express and wanting to write?
I say go for it. If it's really like, if a lot of people say, oh, so many people have told me I've got to write my story, I've got to write my book, and I say, great, what do you say? And I mean, is that true for you too?
Right.
And if people say, well, yeah, sort of, kind of, well, then it's a sort of, kind of. Right. But when they say, oh my God, it would be amazing if I could. And then that's a huge message, and a message I think that comes back over and over again.
Yeah.
Then that's our soul talking to us.
Exactly.
That's not just let's have a hobby here.
Right. It's not a passing fancy.
Right. So I would say, find a coach, because it's really hard to write in a vacuum. It has been for me anyway, when I write books.
Yeah.
And it keeps, not only does it keep you accountable, but it also keeps you on track. Well, I think I'm a little bit different in the way in which I coach writers to become authors, is that I use both of the skills as a writing coach as well as a therapist. So as things come up that trigger a person, especially if they're writing memoir, and even if they're not, but there's some things in their stories that are just saying, ouch, don't even want to go there. We work through it. It's not a race to the finish line. It's a process that where it's a full body process, so that when the person is finished writing their book, they're feeling strong and proud of what they've written. And that's the energy that comes into the book. And that's the energy that people get when they read it. And so I love that. I love the process.
It's beautiful. What do you mean a full-bodied process? What do you mean by that?
I mean that people, it's visceral. It's not just writing a story and isn't that nice? And then I did this and then I did that. And then I became an entrepreneur because it was a really great thing and I found the recipe how to do it. No, it's like, really? You are doing a weight loss program? Yep. Well, how come? Well, I lost 200 pounds. Well, tell me about that as an example.
Yeah.
Just know what it felt like to be bullied or to feel, different or to feel shame. And then the tears come and whatever. And we work through that so that that person can really heal those places that are still stuck. And because I know a lot about that.
Yeah.
After I wrote that play about, to dispel myths and stigmas about bipolar or about mental illness, I went into I went into hiding again for close to a year. I thought once I exposed myself.
Oh, so the play actually aired and was produced?
Oh yeah, it was produced and it got great reviews. And
oh, that's amazing! Congratulations.
Thank you. It was called Madness, Masks, and Miracles. And it's about the madness or the dark night of the soul that we all go through.
Right.
I live on this earth without feeling, grief, sadness, pain, loss. And the masks that we carry to hide the madness, the grief, the sadness, the loss. So someone will say, how are you feeling? Oh, fine. Thanks for asking. Right. Meanwhile, your cat died, the night before or something, right? Yeah. And then the miracles that allow you to take off those masks and be brave enough to be real and true and authentic.
Oh, sounds extraordinary. Wow, you are so talented, Junie. That's crazy. About your writing work, you say that the creative process and the healing process are very similar, like one and the same, actually. And, you were just talking about that, the person who perhaps lost 200 pounds, and then they start writing about that and the tears come. So can you say more about that, the creative process and the healing process being one and the same?
I think it's really originates from a place of deep listening.
Yeah.
So when we're working something out to heal it, we have to heal it. We have to feel it. I mean, there's the feel it to heal it, but it's so true. We must go through that place, and we must go to wherever it takes us. Those feelings of grief and sadness and pain can be excruciating. So most people, well, many, I don't know about most, but a lot of people in the world don't want to go there. And so that often is like the origin of a lot of addictions. I'll eat to cover that over, I'll drink to cover that over, I'll take recreational drugs to whatever, I'll gamble, whatever that is. So I don't have to feel to the point of that feeling. But of course, we all know where that leads. So when we can go to those places, and especially if we can be held, either a good friend or a therapist or someone, so that we're not alone. So that takes us to that place in the healing process. And in the writing process, it's going beyond the surface. It's going beyond writing, just, it's listening to ourselves and letting the writing do the writing. Not, oh, how should I write this? Maybe I should say this before that, and maybe this is a better word and the spelling's crappy. Doesn't matter. Let all that go and just go deep into it. And when we do, we move into that place where there is truly peace within us. That light that's always there. It's steady. Our thoughts, our feelings, they come and go. All of that comes and goes. But we can access that place within us where our true spirit resides, and it's worth the effort.
Wow, I love that. I love how you've brought these two fields of psychotherapy and writing together. How is it that you married these careers as a psychotherapist and writing coach? How do you use therapy in the writing process or writing in the therapy process?
I it's just natural for me because I've
Yeah.
been doing it all my life. So it just, before I kind of married that process together, the therapy and the writing, when people would come to me to write their books, for instance, it just became natural when things would come up. Oh, well, let's deal with that.
In
Really?
writing, let's deal with that in
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For instance, when
Yeah.
I was doing that part, um, and it just, it made all the difference in the world,
Mhm.
all the difference in the world. And I realized, wow, I prefer to work like this, and I prefer, it's like I've been a therapist for many years, but I was moving into what I really loved, and that was coaching people to write their books, because
Mhm.
the because there's something tangible at the end of their healing process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's beautiful when you're working with someone in therapy and you see that they have really grown and transformed where they were to begin with, and bless you and release you and now go out and live your life in the most wonderful ways, which is awesome. But when somebody has a book because that's what
Yeah.
they wanted to do, and they've also healed through
Oh,
that process,
yeah.
to me, that just lights my fire.
Of course.
Right. So that's why I kind of married the two. And then in the writing process itself, like therapy's process, sorry, I would always bring writing into it.
Mhm.
I guess because over those years when I needed a therapist, and I can't say that I don't now either. And I've been doing a lot of that lately, in this past year especially, because I just gone through a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm always looking to know how I can go deeper. But in those years, when I was going to see a therapist and I didn't have a voice, I would write everything and then I'd read it, because that
Mm.
was the way that I could get through it. And eventually, I have a saying, and the saying is, um, "You, maybe I'll wait a minute. Your soul meets you on the page, and something shifts. You begin to stand taller. And one day you notice that your voice on the page has become your voice in the world."
Mm. I love that.
Thank you. And for some people, their voice on the page that becomes their voice in the world is just being able to speak and say something out loud to somebody, a partner, a child, a friend, that they didn't have the courage to anymore. They now have their voice in the world, and they can just become more and more confident to have that voice. And for some people, the voice in the world from the page is books or plays or who knows what,
Yeah.
but it's all different. But the writing actually can take you there.
So beautiful. I'm really struck by how many people now really seem to be moving into this phase in where we are in human evolution, that so many people want to be engaged both in transformational work and in telling their story. People have a message, and it almost feels to me like spirit rising up, that we all need to rise up with that authentic voice and maybe put it on a page, maybe write it in a play or in a movie or a video channel, or there's so
Or
many.
on a canvas with paint.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Just find that creative expression
Yeah.
and do it. Take your camera and go out into nature, or take pictures of people or flowers. It doesn't matter. But find that creative expression that speaks to you and do it, because we never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the support you are giving to people is so important, because as an author myself, I know it's really hard to just, kind of sit down and what is the story that wants to come through, or what's the message? And, I know for myself, I failed for about 10 years of writing my first book until I had a book contract. And then there was some external structure that kind of forced my hand, and I got it done. And the same thing with the second one. There was an external structure. I had a publisher, and there were deadlines and things I had to get done. Now I can, my third one, I was able to just kind of write the book and whatnot. But as you kind of get into but to actually start with your first message, to have somebody there to guide you, to hold your hand, to support you, to have you figure it all out, and also to use it as a healing tool. I just, what a gift, Junie, that you are giving to people, because creative self-expression is healing, and healing requires creative self-expression. So they're two sides of the same coin.
They really are. They really are. And it's really hard. Most people, when they do start to write, it's like, where do I begin? How do I start? Blank page is daunting.
Yes. The blank page is very daunting. And then there's people who think they have to put it all in, every single thing. Like maybe it's more than one book. Maybe, maybe it doesn't have to all go into your first book, and there may be more that come along behind it. That's the other thing that I see people wanting to do is.
Yeah, exactly. Usually for me, when I'm writing with or helping somebody to write their book, the first go through is a draft.
Yeah.
And the first thing I always ask people is, who's there? Who do you want to read?
Yeah.
Who's your audience? Who's your avatar? And everybody should read this book. Oh my God, I've got this thing in like the world. Yeah, I agree with you, but the world won't. So it's about narrowing that down, of course. And then once that's done and they find, what they want to write, and there's so many stories in that particular subject or that theme there, and it's family, and then it's it's my education and what that did and what that led me to that, and relationships. And no, you can't write it all.
Yeah.
Unless you can.
Right.
Can be 10 years old. But a lot that can get said in the draft, and then you can take it out. That you've said it and you got it. And that's what I do a lot of the time with the people that I work with in a therapeutic way with their book. And then they realize after that draft, and they've gone through whatever it is they need to heal, they don't even need to put it in the book.
Right.
Or right, that's done.
Yeah.
Or it's very different. It's coming from a very different place inside of them.
I love it.
Something, this is what I learned. Here's the gift in that experience.
I love it. Yeah, it does take some crafting. And, exactly as you said, there's so much that people want to say. Are the books that you coach, are they mostly nonfiction books that people are writing?
Yes, so far, although I was just looking at another one that I wrote that I haven't written the book yet, but I was reading a story that I think they can become a book, and that'll be fun because it'll be the first fiction. And so it'll take some time. But yeah, I've written a book called Rewrite Your Life, a transformational guide to writing and healing the stories of our lives. And I just, and it's really about writing our stories and seeing what those gifts and lessons are in the stories, with lots of writing prompts. And I've written one about writing memoir called Your Life Matters. And one about just you're afraid to write, like it's called Write Where You Are, for those people who want to write but don't know where to begin. And others. Yeah, so
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Junie, people are, who are authors wanting to be authors are likely wanting to get in touch with you. So where's the best place for people to find you?
On my website, junieswadron.com.
Okay.
And,
Right. We'll put that in the show notes so people will be able to look right at it and give a click. What do you want to leave people with today when they're thinking about their healing journey or their artist journey? Artist and authorship journey.
That you matter.
Yeah.
That you matter. What I found over time with clients and with myself, it doesn't seem to matter how much a person does in life and accomplishes in life, and and it never seems to be enough. It seems like a international disease of not enoughness.
Yeah.
And I want to say that please love yourself enough to step into your own power, into your own just authentic way of living life, because that's what we're born for, I believe.
To live life consciously. Absolutely.
To live life consciously. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Absolutely, Jackie. And I love what you do.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being one of the people on the planet that's really helping people to awaken to the truth that our lives matter, our healing matters, our growth and consciousness matters. In fact, that is what we're here for, and you're helping people along that path. So may we continue together to, raise consciousness on the planet and bring humanity to its best self.
Oh, amen.
Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.